Everyone, no? Wonderful. All right, so officially kicking off. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for attending this meeting of the Arlington Democrats Latino Caucus. It's our March public meeting. And because it is Women's History Month, we thought it'd be a really good idea to host a Women's History Month forum celebrating Latina leadership in Arlington. Izzy Taveras, our vice chair, is going to be the moderator for this morning's conversation with these wonderful, wonderful panelists. And then immediately after the conversation, we're going to have the opportunity for Q&A from anyone in the audience who has questions. So please do reserve your questions for that time if you have any during the conversation. And then after the Q&A, there will have some closing thoughts from the panelists, anything they'd like to share before they head out. And then we will complete our meeting as the Arl Dems Latino Caucus. We'll just have some introductions from our new executive board members and tell you all a little bit about how you guys can get involved. So with that, I will go ahead and hand the reins over to Izzy. Izzy, go ahead.
Hello all, good morning. Thank you so much again for being here with us today. We have an incredible panel here of leaders, Latina leaders in Arlington. So I'll go ahead and pass it over to Christina. And if everyone, once you're doing your introductions, if you can just let us know your name, tell us a little bit about what you do, and just let us know about your relationship with Arlington, Virginia. How long have you been here, etc. And I'll go ahead and hand it off to Christina.
Thank you, Izzy. It is an absolute pleasure to be on this call, and it's so great to see everybody. It's so wonderful to see everyone's faces. It feels like it's been a long time. I'm Christina Torres, and there's a little bit of an echo, but I think I'm okay. I've been in Arlington for about 6 years now. I moved to Arlington, honestly, because the parking was cheaper than DC. And fell in love. It's going to cost me $300 to park my car in DC, and it was only going to cost me $50 to park in Arlington. But I was moving here from Las Vegas after teaching in Las Vegas, and was on a budget and needed to find a place where I could keep my car and be affordable. And I have fallen in love with this community, and it has become the place where I'm going to be putting down my roots, and am putting down my roots. And I have a deep, deep, deep passion for this community. My most relevant day job that I have for this conversation is that I am a member of our school board, and I'm really proud to be doing that work. It's really important work. I'm building on the legacy of two lovely female leaders who are on this call as well, Dr. Yoland Sanchez, who was the first Latina elected to the Arlington School Board, and Tania Talento, who followed her in quick succession. And so that is what I am really passionate about. I'm passionate about education and advocating for equity and ensuring that all of our students, but especially our Latino students, have the resources that they need to have an excellent education. Izzy, did I cover everything, or is there anything missing?
Yes, that is great. Thank you.
Fantastic. I also didn't realize that Jonathan and I were going to be in uniform today, and I love this.
Thank you. Okay, so now I'll hand it off to Claudia.
Sorry, I had done me first. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for giving me the opportunity to be here with you guys. And well, as I know, my name is Claudia. I came to US back in 1988, and I have lived in Arlington since then. We couldn't leave Arlington. We love so much here. So we're here for 35 years, about 35 years now. Currently running two family businesses, Casa Hair Salon that my mom started 25 years ago, and Cafe Sazon that we're here for 11 years. And from Bolivia, we Cochabamba, Bolivia, I guess like Miss Yoland. And that I love to be here. I love this community. The people around here, the community is really, really good. So, do I miss anything?
You can tell us a little bit about what you do.
What I do?
as owner of a very special place we all love.
Oh yeah. Well, we started this about 11 years ago, and we had some issues at the beginning, and probably I think we're gonna talk about that later on. But I love to be around persons. I love to host and greet my customers. And I think that's what makes a little difference here, because we like to treat everybody as family. Yeah.
Hey, thank you. And now I will hand it off to Dr. Emma Yoland Sanchez.
Buenos dias. It's really wonderful to get together. I miss you all very, very much. Well, I came to the United States first in 1961, alone with my other sisters, and to live with an American family and go to high school. Fortunately, I did get a scholarship to go to college, and then later my husband died in Vietnam, and I went back to Bolivia from 1968 to 76 and came back in 76 to get a doctorate and work. And at that time I was going to get remarried. And so I told my former husband that if I would going to live in the United States, and he was a professor at Mary Baldwin College in Stanton, Virginia, that I wanted to be in a place where I would feel at home, not a foreigner. And so for me, Arlington, fortunately, I did get a job as the first Latina teacher in Arlington, 1976. And I said, I want to be in a place where I can have salteñas on Saturday, go to mass in Spanish on Sundays, and to raise my children in a place that they will feel that they belong. So that's why I chose Arlington. And so I have been here, living here since 1976. And I was worked in Arlington Public Schools 40 years, community liaison. Then I became coordinator of secondary programs, the first Latina administrator supervising programs for, at that time, I was called ESOL bilingual. Bilingual education was the reason why I was hired in Arlington. And then I retired from Arlington in 2007 when No Child Left Behind on all the testing. I felt very frustrated. And then I was asked to run for the school board by Walter Tejada, Alfonso Lopez, and Rosa Briceño, and I became the first Latina elected to the school board. And then later, I currently am the chair emeritus and founder of the DREAM Project.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to hearing more about that. And I will go ahead and pass it off to Janet now.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for inviting me to be a speaker or a guest in this wonderful session. I came from Bolivia, and Bolivians are here. Really, Claudia and Emma, you are strong leaders. And when I moved here, I feel alone. I didn't have a family, but I feel the necessity in the community of people that they can speak Spanish. There was few people that speak Spanish and few places that you can go and eat something from Bolivia. But along the pike was little, stores, and there was not a lot of, places that you can go and call, I can talk to my friend here. So, but it attracted me. It attracted me because it was small, but I see also people that they care. So after that, then I settled down in Arlington. I start working with families in my community. And then I got my son and joined the schools. And then I started joining the group of parents at school. And then I devoted my whole passion into helping parents in the school. So for over 16 years, I've been, my son is not in school anymore, but I still help in the schools. And with those parents, I start working in the community in different areas like the housing and advocating for many things for people that, especially for people that they don't have voice. And that is, I do with a passion. And I born as a leader. I'm a leader. I think I'm gonna die as a leader. So, but thank you so much again for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Janice. And I will go ahead and move into our question and answer section of our panel. And I wanted to start out with a question that I think we often overlook in leadership, or, I think in a lot of the fields that, our panelists work in, and even the audience, a lot of the culture can just be very like, go, 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 hustle. So my first question is, what is one thing that you do for self-care to make sure that you're either well rested or refreshed so that you can like come into your work not exhausted and drained? And I will start this question with Jenna.
Well, I like to talk. That's one thing that helps me, get my energy back. I like to talk with anybody. I can be on the phone. I can be, my neighbors come in. Everybody talks to me. So I love that part. So that helps me a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Emma?
Well, now, my life is very different. I am retired, and sometimes it's lonely, really, because I live on 2007. It's a beautiful place next to a creek, but I have decided that I'm going to be moving to a condo near Columbia Pike, because I really felt that at the end of June, I'm going to go because I have this need of community. And going and having my appy at the Café Sazon, and just, because what it takes is, after you retire and having had a very active life, it can be very, very lonely, as you have seen people die. My partner of 21 years will be 1 year, and then my mother. So I fortunately have 2 grandchildren that give me joy. But I have been focusing for the past 7 years on mindfulness and meditation. I follow Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist Vietnamese monk who recently died too. But so I start my day with meditation, some exercise, and throughout the day, I really focused a lot on deep breathing and just trying to be more centered and grateful for what I have, and see how I can be of service to others. Basically, that's what I do. And for me, I have to be really truthful that church, even though at a time I did get away from church when my husband died in Vietnam, but the one thing I remember as an immigrant, when I was so lonely, it was going to mass and seeing the crucifix. And I do have a crucifix next to me because, it just brings me peace. And unfortunately, even my own children don't go to church anymore. But for me, it's still a very strong foundation.
Thank you. And Claudia?
Well, really for me, I need to find at least twice a week. I need to find an hour to have my hair done. That's what makes me feel happy and makes me feel nourished and I feel that's my time. So at least either it has to be like Tuesdays and Fridays. I need to find an hour, no matter what. I need to go to the hair salon and have this done. And that's my time. That's my time of relax, just thinking of myself and be calm after that, I'm like, okay, I can start again. that's how I feel.
Thank you. And last but not least, Christina, if you can share what you do for self-care.
Can I just say that I love this? I'm getting inspiration, and I'm also just feeling like deeply, deeply happy at the range of things that we do to really feel centered and feel at peace. So just love this so much. Mine is coffee. I make myself a latte every single morning, and it's like, it's Cuban coffee, which makes my Puerto Rican ancestors very upset, but it's okay. The Cuban coffee that comes in the Nespresso pods is slightly better than the Puerto Rican coffee. And I make my latte every morning, and I'm secretly an introvert. Most people don't know this, but I'm secretly an introvert. So I need my 20 minutes of like sitting and drinking my coffee by myself with the dog in the morning to just reset and get ready for the day before I then go and give all of my energy to other people. Like I need to have that moment to give my energy to myself before I'm able to provide to others, because I know that if my cup's not full, I won't be able to give to other people.
I love that. I have the opposite problem. I feel like I'm a huge extrovert. But thank you guys so much. That was really so great to hear. And I agree with Christina, just, the range from, church to getting your hair done, to sitting alone with a cup of coffee, to mingling with the community. We really do have such a diverse set of people here, not just in what you do, but who you are as people, which I think is very cool. But moving on to the next question. I kind of wanted to, I think it's especially relevant in light of last week, Judge Ketanji Jones Brown being nominated as the first Black woman. I don't know if you guys had seen, there's this viral photo from a Washington Post photography fellow who is also, talked about often being the only Black photographer in the room. So I kind of wanted to, a lot of you guys have been, only Latinas in the spaces you're in, or just in general being like one of very few in your space. So if you guys could share a little bit about what that feels like, how would you describe it? And is that ever discouraging? And if it is discouraging, like where do you find the courage to, forget that and just keep going and inspiring, people like me who, want to continue in these spaces as well. And I will start this question with Emma.
Thank you. When I heard Judge Ketanji Brown talk with a message to youth, I don't know if you have seen that. If you haven't, go to CNN and check, because it was a question that Senator Padilla asked. What was the message? And she related her experience about walking alone in Harvard and another African-American woman saying, persevere. It just immediately, I just started crying. I saw myself walking into Mount Vernon High School without, I came to the States without my family, walking those halls, going to the cafeteria, not knowing anybody, not speaking English. After having been in Bolivia, a very good student. I saw myself walking in Radford University, not knowing, what were the dating guidelines. I remember even going to the priest and asking, should I go to, this guy's apartment that invited me to have spaghetti? Tell me, Father, what should I do? It was that anguish that, and at a certain point, some of you feel that wound. I know how I suffered with Tanya when Tanya was running for school board and what she went through. Or the times that I had, was my chance to be the chair of the school board. And, at that time, the chair said that I was not prepared, and she had already gotten the votes of the 3 of the white board members. And then talking with some of them individually and saying, why do you think I'm not qualified to be the chair? And then one would say, oh, you're too emotional. You only see that. I remember even before being hired in Arlington, the reason I was not going to be given a job, it was because I was too Latina. I spoke too much Spanish. And I remember going to the head of human resources and saying, are you going to tell me that I'm not getting the job because I speak Spanish and I'm too Latina? I said 70% of the students speak Spanish. That should be, a plus. But I have gone through that, and I have the wounds that sometimes get touched. And what I also enjoyed reading Eugene Robinson editorial in the Post, and sorry for taking time, but I really think it is important, because when Booker, recalled about the meeting of sort of meeting another African-American. And so is one of the things that was said by Eugene Robinson is the look that African-Americans may give to each other to say, I know what you went through. I know how you face the challenges, something like that. We know that. And we know how many times we have sort of hold on to our anger, hold on to not just bursting or crying. I remember taking days off from work because a supervisor would say to me, you are too emotional. You just, because I was always advocating. And then I remember one day I said, I'm taking a day off because I need a mental health. And there weren't too many Latinos to talk. That's why I was so connected with the parents and the students. And I really believe that developing leadership skills with parents and with students, Latino students, gave me the feeling of empowerment. So that's why I really admire her. And I know she went through a crucifixion. And I just pray that she will be our next Supreme Court justice.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Emma. And thank you for getting real with us. Honestly, I love that. And Christina, same question to you.
Yeah. Emma, what you just said is really powerful. In my career, there have been fewer spaces where I've been the first, but there have been many spaces where I've been the only. And when you are the only, I find myself frequently at tables where I am the youngest, where I'm the only woman, where I'm the only woman of color, I'm the only person who is multilingual. And it's very tough to navigate both understanding the system enough to be able to effectuate change, and being the person who has to really know more about the system and how it works than everyone else in the room, just to have street cred and just to have credibility with the people who are there, while also having to frequently navigate lots of questionable situations, and situations that make me wonder whether or not I am overreacting, overanalyzing, whether I'm seeing something that's real, questioning my own judgment, questioning my experience and expertise because of the other people who are at the table with me. And I am incredibly lucky that I had Emma and Tania, who's laid the foundation for all the work that I'm doing here in Arlington and in my professional world. I've been incredibly lucky to have really, really wonderful female Latina mentors who have helped support me and get me to the point where I am now. And I still have those moments where the imposter syndrome takes over. And I still have those moments where am I doing the right thing? Is this the right choice? Am I seeing all sides of it? There's a responsibility there that frequently my white colleagues don't have to feel, because I need to not just represent one POV. I have to represent many, to the point of the diversity that we saw on this call, just in terms of our self-care habits. That diversity exists times a million when we talk about anything, any other aspect of our personalities, of our needs. And when I think about students, when I'm advocating for Latino students, it's not just one identity. It's hundreds of different identities. It's thousands of different identities. And when I'm designing policy, there are so many intricate questions that I have to ask. Will this work for the people who fit this intersection of combinations of identities? Will this work for this group of people, this group of people, this group of people? And it's so much more of a cognitive load that many of my colleagues, both in APS and in my day-to-day professional work, don't have to do. And they don't have to think about, and they don't have to feel that level of responsibility. And so the way that I navigate that is partially by acknowledging it, that like my job is going to be harder than everyone else's job. And that's just what it is. That is exactly what I signed up for. It is going to be more difficult. It is going to be more draining. And I've accepted that. So like naming the thing helps me process the thing. The other part is having people whose judgment I deeply, deeply trust, who I can call in those moments and say, hi, am I crazy? Like, is this actually what's happening? Have I lost my mind? And I have that circle of humans who can help me make sure that I'm reconciling reality, and that I'm not missing something in the process, and who can understand what it is that I'm going through, and who can be that incredible thought partner. I have my incredible fiance who is an amazing thought partner as well, and just constantly is helping me like, hey, this happened today. Is that okay? Is that not okay? Help me process this. And by having this village around me, it helps me be able to recenter in what the work is. Because at the end of the day, if my ego doesn't matter, my feelings getting hurt, that doesn't matter. I don't care. What I care about are the results and the outcomes for kids. And so like a really concrete example, the data dashboard that we launched this week in APS is an incredibly important step forward. It's something that we've been working on for a really, really long time. And we've been bashed for it in lots of different ways. And I've been personally called in different ways and being like, how dare you do this? And you are targeting kids in these ways and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, cool, you can insult me. You can defend me. It's okay. Like, at the end of the day, I know that the people who matter and the students who matter are going to get results because of this. And that's all I care about. And so that's the way that I navigate it. It's tough. And like, notice how most of what I said is not about how I respond externally. It's all about how I process internally and how I make sure that I'm in a good place so that then when I go to do the work, I'm prepared to do it well. So that's how I navigate this.
Thank you so much. I'm really loving hearing from all of you guys. And same question to you, Jenna. How do you navigate spaces where you are often the first or only? And where do you find, I guess, the strength to keep going?
Yeah, definitely. And I shared, the pain also that the two people spoke before me. It is very hard. It is, you born with the stigma that you are weak, that you are only being used to reproduce. And I was against that. And my father was a person who installed in me to believe that I can do many things. So his words were like, until now, I still hear it, and that's one thing that it makes me stand every day. Respect, tolerance, be humble and be patient. So I try to use those because in my life, I had a lot of setbacks, and hearing his voice, he always keep me up, keep going. I need to keep going because I feel like, many people don't like me, or many people don't like the way I lead, or because I'm a woman. But I want to show the world that women are stronger, and we not only, that we're going to bring a life into the world, but that said that we have so many strengths, especially during the COVID, women were the leaders and finding everything for their families. They are psychologists, they are cookers, they are cleaners, we do everything, we handle everything. Men help, but they have their own things, but a woman can handle many things at one time. So, and being a leader, it's very hard, and especially being a woman, because you are portrayed as this weak person or very emotional. And sometimes I cry, especially when I have something in my heart that I need to defend. I will cry, but I don't cry as a show of weakness. I cry the emotions that people need to understand. But unfortunately, our own people are our own enemies. Many people don't like us. When you are strong, they always want to pull you down. But you have the responsibility, and you have to have in your mind, what is it that you want? What are your values? And then you're going to keep going. Don't go, don't pay attention what they trying to tell you, what they're trying to change you. Just keep going, because you have a reason why you're going. What are you leader? So don't let anybody pull you down or tell you what to do. As long as you have those goals to reach, and your conscience is clean, and the conscience is telling you, do this for people they can do, just be at peace in that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Janet. And same question to you, Claudia.
Well, it's really nice to hear about all your stories, and makes me think also about how hard it is for us to to be part of, to teach, to help others. And my situation is just I work at SunTrust Bank for 14 years. When I got here, I started working as a nanny, and then I studied English, and then years after I was at Central Bank working as a teller, and then I got promoted, and I was there for about 10 years. And always I had a high goal, and I will always exceed my goals. Was like 150, 160, 180 sometimes of my goals at the bank. But for the last 2 years that I had there, I had a health condition. And of course, my performance were a little bit, well, it was going down. I was 120%. But still, we were able to get, these prizes and that we used to get at the branches and trips and things like that. So my manager, I was an assistant manager at that time. And my manager came to me and she was like, well, there is no free rides here. So you need to go back to what you were before. That makes me feel really, really bad. I was like, my condition, and I'm still working as hard as I can. But still you're not happy. Well, I was thinking about this, right? So that makes me realize that, you can do everything as much as you can, but sometimes it's not enough. And but still, I put myself together. I come out from my problems, and but months later I was like, I had to do something else. I had to find another thing to do, and I left the bank to help my mom with the business at Casil's Hair Salon. I started running her business, and then we found we did Cafe Sazon, and I'm really happy now. I have between the two business, I have like about 20 people that are employees, and I feel responsible for them and for their families and for their well-being, and that really makes me feel good. I I like to treat them, like I wasn't afraid. I give them everything I can if they have issues, problems, or um, concerns. If they need to go to school, or if they need to learn English and things like that, try to show them the ways to find the better options for their lives.
Thank you so much, Claudia. And I'm going to keep saying this in between every question, I think, but thank you all so much for being so raw and vulnerable with us and sharing like the difficult parts of your stories. I really, really appreciate it on a personal note, and I'm sure that everyone else listening to these conversations is getting a lot from it as well. And moving on to the next question, I kind of wanted to go back a little bit to what Emma had mentioned before in terms of talking about women's history and kind of talk about it in the context of, how has the history that came before you shaped you, helped you? And if you felt it's set you back in any way, please definitely share that as well. But just wanted to get a little bit of everyone's perspective on women's history, specifically like Latina history, and how that has impacted you personally. And I will start this question with Christina.
Well, I've already mentioned some of it. I have the privilege of building on the work of so many people who've come before me. And so the work that we're doing now, I've been on the board for a little bit more than a year, about a year. Wow, a year and 3 months now, almost complete. Woo, feels like 7 years. But we've been able to do some really, really incredible things that we wouldn't have been able to do if it hadn't been for Emma and for Tanya and for all of the work that they've done over the last many, 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 many years. From removing SROs, and we now have, in this coming budget, we're going to be adding APS staffed school security officers who are going to be licensed and have to undergo significant restorative justice-based training. That's going to be absolutely wonderful and a much better alternative to having badged police officers in schools, because that was not a good idea. We've done that. We've refined our discipline and school student code of conduct in a really, really robust way. We have shifted, we are in the process of beginning shifting our dual language immersion to being a more robust model that is aligned with research and that is proven to actually be better for English learners at all levels who come into our system. And it's really building on the work that Emma started when we started our dual language immersion program. And it's because of all of their work that we're able to do this so quickly. It's because they put in all of the groundwork that I am really just bringing this stuff across the finish line in the last year and a half, while continuing to advocate and put down seeds, like knowing that I am not going to be on the school board forever and ever and ever. So whoever the next person is, how do I continue to plant those? How do I start planting those seeds, watering them, germinating them, so that for the next several years while I'm on the board, I can continue to reap that fruit, but then also whoever comes next has some ripe fruit that they can then harvest. And so that legacy, this is not a single person marathon. This is a relay race. And knowing that is really important, and building upon that is really important. And I constantly give thanks for what they did. And what they've contributed that then is allowing me to be able to do this work now. And I'm just incredibly grateful for it. I think as beyond my work on APS, I think the way that women's history for me personally has impacted me is the history of the women in my life. And my grandmother was the first woman in Puerto Rico to get a degree in pharmacy. And she opened a pharmacy that is still in my family's, my padrino owns it now. And it's the highest grossing pharmacy in all of the Caribbean in terms of cancer medications. And so they literally provide medication to people who would not be able to have access to it otherwise if it wasn't for Farmacia San Rafael. And it's her legacy and the way that she lived that inspires me to be in public service and to give my spare time to my community. I'm the eldest of the grandchildren on that side. And I remember being, I'm not going to get emotional when I say this. Whew, okay. I remember being at her funeral when she passed in oh my God, this must have been 2006 or 2007. I was probably middle of my teens. It might've been 13, 14. I don't really know. And I was the oldest of the grandchildren. And so they asked me to speak. And I remember standing in the church at the podium and seeing hundreds of people who were there for my grandmother and seeing just the faces as they were looking up. And I had like a nice little prepared speech that I'd read because of course, teenager me was not gonna be able to say anything off the cuff. But the impact that she had on her community. And then when we were going to the cemetery and just seeing the parade of cars that went back probably about a mile, like there were literally hundreds of people in this church. That's impact. That is changing her community. Her ability to build this business that then employed people in the community, that then provided medication even when people could not afford to pay for it, that provided resources when people could not afford them. That ability to just deeply love her community is something that inspires me to this day, and that I try to do. I'm never going to be able to live up to it, but I try to live up to it to the best of my ability. And so her history really lives on in me all the time.
Thank you. And Claudia, same question for you.
Oh, as going back to what Christina said, to me also, my mother has been an example in my life. You know, her perseverance, her caring for people, her empathy. You know, she does the others' problems, her own problems. You know, always taking care of anybody that comes to her with anything, like if they can find a place to work, or they can find a place to live, or even if their kids are eating that day, you know, with her employees. And so her caring for others, I think that's our blessing. You know, I always say that she has been so good to a lot of people that me, my sister, my daughter are getting blessings, because, you know, I don't have to either ask to the universe and think that it will just come to me. And it's because of her, you know, and her hard work. She came here with my little sister when she was 7 and raised her by herself, raised me also back in Bolivia by herself. And always hard worker, perseverant, going, telling us that never to quit, keep trying. And you know, that makes me, I think that's what makes me a strong woman now.
Thank you. And Janet?
Yeah, when I came to this country, you know, I left behind a lot of things. I studied journalism. I came here without the language. The reason I came here is because my father didn't want me to go and visit to a jail as a political prisoner. And then they said, you know, why don't you go to USA and see if you like it? If you don't like it, come back. And then that time I wanted to go to Nicaragua. It was during the war that was going on in there, the Civil War. And then my father said, go to USA. If you come back with the same ideas, then I will let you go to Nicaragua. And then I said, let me give a chance to myself and to my father. So I came here, and I was young, and the language was a big barrier for me because I like to talk. And then the first day that I arrived here, I couldn't communicate, not even with the people and the at the airport. So I was thinking, is that what I want? You know, I want to talk. So, and I found a job, and then I was still missing that part of me communicating. And I tried to communicate in different ways. Then I learned that it's not only the language. You can use your hands, you can use your eyes, you can use other things to communicate. But then I said one day I will have time to go to school to learn English, which I didn't, because all the things that I'm doing in leadership, pulling things, communities, helping parents, I always postpone that. My English that I'm speaking is because I learned reading, writing on my own, and listening to people. But all of this, when I get to Carlin Springs Elementary, many years passed by, I met a liaison. Actually, they make a difference in my life. Her name was Rosalia Galeas. So she teach me all the things that I do in the school. You know, I'm very grateful for her teachings. When I was trying to move, my son was moving to Kenmore, there was a lot of animosity between some people in the school that they want me to be off the school. But then I met Emma. Emma came to Carlin Springs, and I told my story that I wanted to change this, you know, the way they working with parents, the way they communicate, but they don't let me. Even in the schools, they don't let you. But Emma told me, keep going, keep doing. Parents believe on you. Don't give up. Those words and the words that my father ingrained on my brain make a powerful thing for me to keep going. And ever since then, I always say thank you to Emma for giving me, during that time, it was very hard time for me, but for her to appear in my life at the right moment to tell me, don't never give up. Then I moved to Kenmore, and I'm still at Kenmore. My son is not there, but I'm still leading a group of parents. And at the beginning, it was just moms, Kenmore Wednesday moms. And we formed this powerful group that we were working like bees, moving here, doing this. So that empowered all of us as a woman. And then men start noticing, oh, I want to go be part of this group. So they couldn't call Wednesday Moms group anymore. So we changed it to Kenmore Parents Group. But parents, female parents came to work with us. And from there, born another organization, ASHPA, which was led by women too, and I've been, very blessed that a powerful woman came in my life after my dad was the first one to mold me into who I was going to be. And they gave me the strength to keep going. And because of those moms that now working with me on those parents, we were able to change many things. And there, it's not over yet. There is a lot of things to be worked and for the community, with the community. But the inspirations that I got, and I always said, Rosa Galeas, Emma Viola, and Sanchez, they came in my life at a very critical point, because I was just a Latina person that talks too much and then complains a lot. But because of them, I'm keep going. And on my road, I find other women, strong and powerful women that every day make difference in my life. If I'm doing any mistakes, I call that I'm doing okay, please tell me. In between those persons that are here, it's Tania Talento. Tania, thank you so much. You're also an inspiration to me. and then not to give up, just keep going. Yesterday, Judge Ketanji Jackson said, determination and hard work, it always pays off. So that's what I'm thinking, determination.
Thank you, Janet. And last but not least, Emma.
Yes, first, historically, in Bolivia, in Cochabamba, where, Claudia and I was born, and I don't know if Janet, you're from Cochabamba.
No, I'm from La Paz.
Okay, but there, the liberation of Cochabamba was the heroines, the women from Cochabamba that defended the city against the Spanish. And they called las heroínas de la Coronilla, and that's on May 27th when we celebrate Mother's Day. Women are very, very important in our culture, but for me personally, for my mother, we are 6 girls in my family, 6 women. And my father was the only child, and so he was always concerned about keeping the last name. And my poor mother used to, at that time, she didn't know, but she used to go and pray all the novenas so that one of us would be a boy. But anyway, no boys came. But my mother, when she was 40, my father left her, and she had 6 girls, ages 18 to 1 year old. And that's when my aunt, who was here in Washington, D.C. teaching Spanish, said, just send the 3 oldest ones and we'll find homes for them so we can be like nannies and go to school. But my mother, who lost her mother when she was 1 year old and her father when she was 3 years old, she was the strongest mother I have ever known. And for me, her message was study. You're not going to, just study. You're going to be a professional because you are not going to let any man that is going. You have to be able to make money. But anyway, so my mother's strength helped me. But when I came to Arlington, I just want all of you to know that when I came in 76, it was mothers that we got together because I was supposed, which I did, start the first bilingual program in Arlington. At that time, the federal government was providing support to the school district so that we could establish bilingual education programs. The Lau versus Nichols Supreme Court decision was that if there were 20 children that spoke a given language, we should be teaching in the native language. And that's how I started. But even when I was hired, at that time, Superintendent Cuban said, what if principals won't want to talk with you when you go to their schools? Well, we started to have parents group. And the first thing that parents wanted, it was for them, because at that time, even to be a custodian, you needed a high school diploma. And so we said, and my sister at that time came from Bolivia to get her GED, and she went to DC to get the bilingual GED. And she was so happy that I said, why can't we have it in Virginia? 44 states accepted the bilingual GED program. And so we got together with the parents at Key Elementary School, and we formed, I always believed in forming organizations. I have to tell you that, that's my strategy. We formed COACH, the Coalition of Arlington County Hispanics. We even had a letterhead, and we went to elected officials, and we said, why can't we have a bilingual GED in Virginia? We said, we'll start a class. We started a class at Key School with volunteers. And so we had like 40 parents that were ready to take the bilingual GED. It wasn't approved yet, but it was after all this really support, and the superintendent was very supportive at this time. So we started the bilingual GED program, and thank God there was thousands of people now that have their GED. But then later, it happened also with LULAC. That LULAC, wanted scholarships, and there wasn't an Arlington LULAC, so we started an Arlington LULAC. Then later, one of the things I remember being, as a supervisor, being called Kenmore, because it was a Cambodian mother who couldn't communicate with her daughter who had run away, and the police called the central office to bring an interpreter in Khmer because the parent didn't speak English and the child didn't speak Khmer. And so I read a lot about the role of the first language and what is it that when kids cannot communicate with the parents, the native language, and the parents don't speak English. So that's how we came together, Bolivians, and we started Escuela Bolivia so that our children could continue to learn Spanish. Then later, of course, we started Spanish in the elementary school, but then unfortunately it was eliminated. So for me, the bilingualism is really as economic, social, and educational asset. And what we started in Arlington and what we don't have in Arlington is to continue the teaching of the first language. And that for me is always the way that parents and children need to communicate if the parent does not speak English. So that's how we started. And it was with the leadership training that we did with Escuela Bolivia, that we did with MALDEF, Mexican American Legal Defense Fund. We started a very strong group of parents, and those parents came to us in 2010 to start a dream project because undocumented students were not admitted in colleges in Virginia. The Attorney General of Virginia, at that time, Cuccinelli, sent a memo to colleges and universities not to admit them. So that's why we started the DREAM project. And now we have 100 scholars, but it's the parents and those parents that were there from Arlington Public Schools, Roxana Montaño, Gilda Vallejos, Paredes, that were active in the schools are still active with the DREAM project. So I believe in leadership development of parents and of students, and funding needs to be provided. Arlington County, I have to tell you, I still am angry. You see Casa de Maryland. Maryland gives funding to nonprofit organizations for providing services. It is the nonprofits that are together with the community because the school system and the county government, there's no funding, no funding. Every time they cut funding for parent training, for things like that, that is ridiculous. And that's what other counties do. Fairfax County does, Arlington doesn't do it. So we need to have nonprofit, community-based organizations that receive funding, or we raise the funds to do what we must do. Because we can't be always begging. That's what I believe. As a woman, we can do it, and the role of the mother is so important in the education of the child.
Thank you so much, Emma. I wanted to move to a last question from me before we move on to audience. If we can keep this one short, just in one sentence, what do you believe that you bring specifically as a Latina to the table? How has being Latina influenced your leadership in a positive way? And I will start this one with Claudia.
Well, I think being Latina gives us the opportunity to share our culture. I think as a Latinos, we do things with our heart, everything that we do, we put our heart on it. And I think that's what makes the difference with other cultures on our case. And, the education that we had, our culture is, what's different. I will say, to make it shorter, our passion. Yep.
Thank you. And Janet?
Well, I think I got to do what I'm keep doing it, just keep doing it. And then that gives me power to speak for the people that they don't have voice or communicate, things. And the same thing with other leaders that I work with, we were able to communicate, get things that they were not say because of fear, because of worry about being discriminated. But I think we overcome those fears. And then being a Latina leader in the community, it has a lot of responsibilities. You never know if you're doing something, your conscience said you're doing right, but you don't know, because times I encountered people that they are against me, even Latino, persons. And same thing in the schools. We've been hitting very hard with a lot of things because they don't want us there, So we are fighting. Every day of my life is to get up and say, so what am I going to do now? So I have to get ready. I put my shields and say, let's go to war, because every day is like that, but you need to continue doing what you have in your mind. You are a leader. I born a leader, and I know, I have said before, I'm gonna die as a leader, but I want to know what I have a chance to change during this time. Did I make impact in the lives of others? That there will be kids that they're gonna do what I do, what I'm leaving behind, because one day I will die, but I want to see if I left a legacy for another girl to do things like I did. So that's my, inspiration, to make sure other people will do or follow what I do. Maybe even better, because right now, this is just the beginning for me, and there should be more leaders later on. I have girls working with us, during the pandemic, that they learn a lot from us. And I'm very proud that they talking about the things that we did and the things that we ingrained in themselves, and they doing things at their schools also. So that to me is one plus, that it's giving me more strength to keep going. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. Emma?
I am very proud to be bilingual, bicultural, and multicultural. And I was very happy that my daughter has gone to Key Elementary Immersion Program when we started, and she is bilingual. So that's for me, the role of language is so important. The other thing I think is important, I'm glad that Steve is here listening. I think the Democrats, if we are going to make a difference in elections, we can't forget the Latino community. And Steve, you haven't seen me in the Democratic committee meetings, and many of you. You know why? Because many times people, I remember, and I have to tell you another first. When I was running for school board and I entered the Democratic committee meetings, I felt like I was a fly in a glass of milk. Everybody had their own seats. You know how it is, how they have all their own seats where they sit. And I remember my campaign manager, Andres, said, Emma, you have to go. And I said, this is painful for me to enter that room. He said, that's okay, you have to go. And then Walter said, come and be next to me. Go to the back and you're going to be next to me. And everybody will come to say hello to me, some county board member. Okay, so I was next to Walter Tejada. And I don't know if it has changed, but Latinos, the Democratic Committee needs our votes. But if we do not involve using culturally, linguistically responsive practices, and strategies to involve the Latinos in elections, we lost our governor and the 3 top states because we don't involve the Latinos, only at the last minute. And that you have to build leadership from grassroots level. You can't expect people to vote if they don't feel they belong, if they don't feel they are part of this. We have to foster the feeling of belonging and to do immigration reform and for the Democratic Party to understand that we have 12 million or more people undocumented. And they are the ones that are working so hard to keep their families, to keep going. And the greatest pain for me is to see students that are graduating from college that are undocumented, that are engineers, that are this, and they cannot work legally. So we are losing a segment of our community. And the last thing I'm going to say as a Latina Democrat, I will join again. But if I keep on forgetting the Latinos, I feel that why should I contribute? We are forgetting about the kids that are crossing the border. We are forgetting that. We need to give them benefits, TPS, and a path to citizenship. We can't forget what's happening in our southern border. So those are my thoughts. We have to be communicating. We have to feel the pain of the immigrant that is walking the desert to come to this country.
Snaps to that. Thank you so much, Emma. And I will go ahead and end that question with Christina.
Thank you. So for me, and I'm actually going to build on a couple of things that have been said and kind of try to tie them together, sort of. For me, it's not even a sentence, it's a word. It's ganas. Like the thing that we come to, and the thing that we uniquely bring as Latinas and as the Latino community in general is ganas. And to Emma's point of the community being welcoming, I remember my first year in the party where I was the only, it was like me and Tania were the only Latinos, and Tania wasn't elected, and so she wasn't going to the meetings quite as frequently at the time. And now fast forward 6 years and we have the Latino Caucus, and there's all of us on this call. It's just an incredible progress. And I go into Arlington Dems meetings, and they are so different from when I first started, when they were not nearly as welcoming, and where Tania and like Matt DiFerranti and a couple of other leaders saw my potential and did exactly what Walter did with Emma, and we're like, hi, please go do these things. Thank you. Because we know that you have the potential, and we know that you can carve a path for other people, and you can help make this better. And because of all of that work and all of that incrementalism, I think that we are in a good spot now, but we are certainly not where we need to be. There is so much more work to do, and there's so much, we need to show up every single day with the desire to change the system, with the desire to wonder how can we make these rules more inclusive? How can we make these spaces more inclusive? How can we make policies more inclusive? And it's not about destroying the system every single day. It's not about tearing everything down, because there is some benefit to what we've built, and there's some history behind it. So how do we instead of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, how do we improve? How do we ensure that things are better every single day and for every next generation? How do we power young leaders like Izzy and Kevin and Elizabeth and Mike, and I'm trying to catch all the young leaders on here, and Paul? How do we ensure that all of you are set up to continue to build and improve the system and make this even more inclusive day by day? Because that systems change is slow, painfully, and we all want things to be done tomorrow. But the reality is that it takes longer to do these things. And it's by showing up every single day with that ganas that we bring because of our culture and because of our heritage and because of everything that we experience, that we are going to change systems. And it's going to be frustrating when it doesn't happen, but that's okay. That's why we have this community. That's why we can come together on a Saturday morning and feel inspired from each other's stories. This is why we can come and have a cafecito or an empanada, and we can hang out together and really reinvigorate each other's spirits and fill each other's cups, so that then we can go in the next day and continue to fight con ganas. So that's my wrap up and kind of combination of things that I've heard.
Thank you so much. I will open it to audience questions now. I think we may sadly only have time for one, but that's okay because we had such great conversation. But if anyone has a question they would like to ask, if you just want to like raise your virtual hand. Awesome. We'll take a question from Steve.
Thank you so much. And it's really great being here, present, listening to this amazing panel. Thank you so much for this wonderful morning. Emma, you talked about county funding, and I just would be interested in you kind of building on that a little bit more. What specifically, what do you think the county needs to be doing? Is it higher education scholarship funding, or please build on that a little bit more?
What I would like to see, I know that Fairfax has that funding, and I know that Montgomery County and so on and so forth. Basically, that there's funding available for, it could be community development, or it could even be the Democratic Party that has a funding for developing leadership training for Latino Democrats, let's say at different levels, but for the county to support nonprofit organizations and to have a space. We don't have space. We don't have space to meet. Unless it's, like the schools, but then you have to pay to use the schools. The Dream Project, we don't have an office. We don't have a space to meet. And so do we raise funds to pay for a storefront? And then, or is it that the county can provide some space and support to nonprofits? Now, I know that I saw in Arlington Mills that there's a bike, the Libby Garvey nonprofit, what is it called? They have a space for them, but we need space. I think school and county facilities are community facilities. And we also need additional funding. So if we needed to this, money for, let's say, vaccines, or we had funding for health or for mental health or whatever it is, why isn't that, if there's a nonprofit that focuses on that, sometimes it's even cheaper because we have a lot of volunteer work that goes into the nonprofits. I don't know if you understand it?
Yeah, thank you. And I hope I see you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much. I'll give our panelists just a couple, just in one last sentence, if you want to give any last remarks, I'll do that. And then we'll go ahead and hand it over to Kevin for our general body part of the meeting. And I'll start with Christina.
Gratitude. This was a wonderful panel to be a part of, and a wonderful conversation to join. And I just want to give everyone a hug, and I can't in Zoom. So I'm looking forward to seeing everyone in person soon, and just gratitude for hosting this and for making this space and for everyone taking the time this morning, because my heart is full.
Thank you. And Claudia?
Well, thank you so much for letting me enjoy this. I really enjoyed it. Being part of this panel was really refreshing. It was almost as have my hair done. Thank you.
Thank you. Emma?
Muchas gracias. Realmente estoy emocionada. I just need to see you all and hug you and Izzy. You did an amazing job. I think your questions were very thought-provoking, and all of the people that were present, thank you for coming. And I hope to see you all soon. Love you. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Emma. And last but not least, Janet.
Again, thank you for inviting me to open to my feelings, my personal experience. And it was very refreshing to hear other stories. Like Claudia, I met her many times at Concepcion, but I never introduced myself formally, one-to-one. But thank you, Claudia. You are also a leader, you're coming from Bolivia. I don't know, but these three people, we are from Bolivia, and Bolivia produce leaders. So, and then later exported. But thank you so much. And Christina, thank you for your leadership, and Izzy and all the women, wonderful women that are here, and men. But one thing I want to say is that we are here as a Latinos, and we need to work together, to make sure that our kids have that future that we wanted. When we immigrated here, we pay a big price, and our kids need to get that education that we want for them. I want to see in my lifetime kids that are working as a doctors, lawyers, not at McDonald's or 7-Eleven. It's not that I have something against them. It's because why we pay the price to be an immigrant is for our kids to have a better future. And I'm working towards that. I'm pulling my community in different ways. I only hope that God will give me the strength to do it. But having these meetings gave me the power. Let me know that I have other people behind me pushing also. Let's keep trying. No matter what we're going to encounter, we're not well organized right now, the Democrats, but doesn't matter. As long as we are together, we can do it. And that's the most important. We can always pull it together. But thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Again, thank you all our wonderful panelists for not only being here, but getting real and raw and vulnerable with us and sharing, the good parts of your stories, but also a lot of those lows. I know I've really appreciated hearing these stories and knowing that, a lot of the things I feel in a lot of these spaces is shared among us Latinas. So really thank you for this. And I will now hand it over to Kevin for our general body meeting.
Wow. Well, thank you. Please allow me to just express my thanks on behalf of the caucus, of course, but just personally as well. It really was very impactful to have the opportunity to sit and listen to each of you talk about your own experiences here. And it's so critically important for everybody here in Arlington to have a better appreciation for not only the history of what it's been like for Latinos coming here, but really what it's been like in real experiences. And each of you has been a leader in so many different ways. And I'm so glad, because Christina, you're absolutely right. Us being here today is in big part because of the work that the women here have done. And hopefully it will lead to bigger and better things for many younger and brighter minds than all of us here moving forward. So thank you all. We're gonna just continue with our meeting here. Everyone is welcome to continue to join in. We won't be very long. All we were really hoping to do for the remainder of our meeting was to give everyone here, while we have you on a Saturday morning, to introduce you all to the new leadership of the Dems Latino Caucus that has been elected and appointed for 2022. And for those of us on the executive board who are here in the meeting today, to give us the opportunity to introduce ourselves to you, but also to talk maybe a little bit briefly about some of the work that we're hoping to do this year, and then to give you all the opportunities to join and to sign up and to be a part of our work moving forward. And with that, we'll maybe just take a little bit of feedback if anyone has anything they'd like to share, and then we'll close things out. So I'm going to go ahead and share this slide here that I have, if I can figure out just how to do that. My apologies. One second here. Okay, and is there anybody who cannot see the screen that I am sharing? If you are having difficulty seeing the screen, please go ahead and let me know. Speak up now. So apologies, I have skipped all the way to the end. Here we go. All right, so thank you all again for coming into the meeting. First things first, just wanted to, for everyone who has not yet had a chance to meet our elected board, these are the folks who were first elected to the executive board at the beginning of this year, back in January. Y'all know me at this point. I should hope. Again, my name is Kevin. I'm here from Arlington, and I've been pretty involved with the Latino Caucus for the last year and a half or so. And I was brought in by some of the really great folks that started this caucus, Sandra and Christopher and Kathleen and Jonathan, and just really, really happy to be here helping to kind of lead the charge for the remainder of the year. Our vice chair is Izzy Taveras. I'm going to go ahead and give her the opportunity to introduce herself real quick. And Izzy, if you have anything in particular that you're excited to either do this year in Latino Caucus, or just particular other projects that you know other people are working on that you're excited to work on, go ahead and share that at this time as well.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Izzy Taveras. I am not a native Arlingtonian, but I've lived here since I was 10 years old. So been here for a long time, got involved with the Democrats late 2018, and got involved with the Latino Caucus last year. I am just most excited about having an impact on our community. I think two of the things we did last year that I really hope to continue building on. We did a lot of COVID vaccination outreach, and just making sure that the Latino community was informed. So to me, I think a lot of that kind of public service that has such a direct impact in helping our community is very important to me. So, you know, while COVID vaccination might not be like the big thing we work on this year, I hope we get to do stuff similar to that. And one thing that was a huge hit last year that we did for the first time was our Hispanic Heritage Month festival celebration. Very much looking forward to doing that again this year. You know, there are so many Latino diasporas here in Arlington. It's like one of the most diverse Latino communities. So I'm really excited to just be able to showcase more of that, and just, yeah, let Arlington and everyone know that Latinos are here and we're here to stay and we're here to do the work. So thank you all very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Izzy, for sharing that. Next is our interim secretary, Leslie Omibo. I don't know if she's here with us this morning. Leslie is actually our newest member of the executive board. She did step in an interim capacity. Our elected secretary for 2022. Many of y'all will know her is Kathleen McSweeney. Due to a family emergency, she had to step away from the executive board for the remainder of the year. But she is undoubtedly one of the biggest Latina leaders here in Arlington. She's somebody that we all rely on very heavily for advice and for guidance, and is absolutely going to continue to be a very well-valued member of our caucus moving forward, especially once she's able to come back full-time. But Leslie is a really, really dedicated advocate. She's actually a resident of Falls Church. And you do not have to be necessarily an Arlingtonian to be a member of the caucus, as long as you are an ally of our community here and you want to help out what we're doing and help organize our community, we welcome you. So we are so thankful that Leslie stepped up and wanted to take on this role and get more involved with the work that we're doing. Our elected treasurer is Tanya Talento, somebody who I think maybe some of y'all may or may not be familiar with. She unfortunately did have to step away from the call. She was on for the first half for our forum. You know, what is there to say about Tanya that y'all probably are not already aware of? An incredible community leader, of course, a former elected official here in Arlington County, and just a community leader in her own right. And so having her as a member of our executive board is just really, really exciting. I could not believe it when she told me she wanted to step in and take on this role as our treasurer. It's a new role for us. As we are growing, we're hoping to continue to professionalize and institutionalize a lot of the work that we're doing. And any organization with a budget should have someone running that budget. And Tanya is just exceptionally qualified, of course, wanting to do that, and just wanted to run our numbers. So we deeply appreciate her being here as part of our team. Christopher Concepcion is also not here this morning. Many of y'all will know him because he was our chair this past year. He stays on as chair emeritus of our board, a really wonderful advocate for our community. Say hi to him the next time you see him. All right, so here's where things get really, really exciting. This is our appointed executive board list, our officers for the year. These are the folks who in large part are going to be running the actual programs and events, and helping to really coordinate the guiding mission of the Latino Caucus for the coming year. And so when we think about, oh, the Latino Caucus is talking about wanting to do this, that, and the other thing, oh, they're so excited about, vaccines or getting out in the community or doing a cultural event or voting or anything along those lines, more likely than not, these are the people who are going to be executing those things. And so I wanted to give them each a special shout out, and also talk about the committees that each of them are going to be running, and that each of you all as participants have the opportunity to join and to become a part of and volunteer with. So here we go. First, our advocacy director, Karen Gavada. I believe she's here. Yes, she is. Karen, I'm going to go ahead and give you the opportunity to introduce yourself and like Izzy, talk about either anything that you are, already pretty excited to do or things that you just hope to get into over the coming year.
Great, thank you. Good morning, everyone. As Kevin mentioned, my name is Karen Gavada. I more or less can say I'm an Arlington native. I actually went to high school in Arlington and went away for college and for work. But I'm back now, and it's exciting to be involved in initiatives to help advance the Hispanic community. One of the things that I'm most interested in is really providing a voice for the Hispanic community and allowing ourselves to have a seat at the table. Some of the things that I'm most passionate about is the housing crisis and how some of our Hispanic members are being left out of the conversations of the future of how housing is going to be impacting them. And also immigration. And we are going to be developing a strong advocacy agenda by going out to the community and really asking what's the most important things to them, and then developing a plan on how to advocate for those issues. So stay tuned for a lot of things to come from an advocacy perspective. And again, thank you so much for having me today. And back over to you, Kevin. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Karen. Appreciate it. So here I've just switched over to our slide for our Advocacy and Education Committee. This is the official committee of the Arlington Democrats Latino Caucus that Karen is going to be in charge of, or is in charge of this year as Advocacy Director. Any person who becomes a member of the Latino Caucus is welcome to sign up to volunteer for any of these committees. So we do have, we have tried to develop a number of different ways that you as an advocate, as a community member, someone who's interested in being a part of our operations and the work that we do, a bunch of different ways that you can sort of fit yourself in. If you have a particular interest in the advocacy in certain issues, civic education, this is the place to sign yourself up. And Karen is a wonderful, wonderful leader for this. We're so glad that we found her and she wanted to join this team. So thank you, Karen, for stepping up. Next, we've got our communications director, Elizabeth Escobar. Elizabeth also played a really, really big role in helping to get this event set up together. So Elizabeth, thank you so much for all the work that you did there. I'm going to go ahead and hand the reins to you and let you introduce yourself and talk about maybe a little bit about what you're excited to do.
Thanks, Kevin. Good morning, everyone. Thank you again for being with us. As Kevin mentioned, my name is Elizabeth. I have been in Arlington for, I think now going on 5 or 6 years. I went to school in DC, and I think Christina, it was you that mentioned the cheap parking over here. That was actually my reason to come over on this side. But a lot of throughout my career, a lot of my work has been in Arlington and doing advocacy and outreach within the Latino community. So I'm super excited to be a part of this team. In terms of a comms director position and what I would like to do, I tend to be overly ambitious on my to-do list, but I would really just like to solidify the relationship that we as a Latino caucus have with the overarching organization of the Arlington Democrats, and really figuring out a way to make our presence known. If somebody sees the logo of Arlington Democrats, they know the faces in those groups. And so I do marketing operations right now for work, and I would really like to bring those talents into the organization and figure out how to instead of, we can do a lot of one-on-one communications with people, but that takes so much time. We're always on the run. And so leveraging technology and all these other things that we have available to us, to reach masses, I would really like to expand on that. So I'm super excited to be here, and let's see what happens this year.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Really appreciate you being here. Okay, so next on our list, we have Luisa Concepcion. She's our outreach director for the year. Unfortunately, she's not able to join this morning. She had a prior commitment, but Luisa is a really, really wonderful advocate. She was one of our most consistent volunteers throughout everything that we were doing last year. Everything from voter registration to vaccine efforts. Luisa was somebody you could count on to just consistently always be there. As outreach director, she is going to be heading our outreach and service committee. This is really where we consolidated all of our interests in wanting to do, obviously, not just outreach to the Latino community, but also trying to give Latinos a reason to join us, and a reason to want to be a part of what we're doing and to listen to what we do. And we think a big part of that is through community service, and through putting our money where our mouth is, so to speak, and really getting out there and doing some good works for our community. A big way that we did that last year was through the vaccine effort that Sandra coordinated through our caucus, and that was just really, really successful. Something that really made us feel that we were getting our sea legs together as a caucus, that there was a real opening here in Arlington for an organization like ours that had a particular focus, and that could really draw in dedicated people who weren't necessarily just Latino, but who really cared about our community. So Luisa is going to be spearheading our efforts there as head of the Outreach and Service Committee. And if you have any interest at all in doing anything that is in that focus, whether it be our cultural events, just general outreach efforts, or the community service side of it, or even if you're just interested in helping us grow as an organization and recruit more volunteers and members, this is definitely the committee to join and to be a part of. So last but absolutely not least is Sandra Calisto, who is really just one of the core leaders of what this caucus has been. I'm going to go ahead and give Sandra the opportunity to introduce herself now.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Kevin. Yes, Sandra Calisto. Some of you know me also as Sandra Brody. Both are fine. I am the political director with the Latino Caucus. I'm just thrilled to be part of this dynamic caucus and serve at the executive board. Our goal this year is to strengthen our bonds, our connection with the community, and to increase the Latino participation in the democratic process at a local and state level. That participation could be in the form of attending forums about local or state policy, or candidate discussions with about their stand on the issues that we are interested or concerned about. Political participation also includes being informed and helping others to get informed about the elections, the candidates, the issues, and of course, register and vote. Register to vote and get out and vote. So I'm calling on those of you, or friends, people that you may know, may want to help our Latino friends, family members, neighbors to be well informed and vote. How do we do this? So we get out and talk to people. We provide volunteers with all the information and materials and guidance that they need to help with voter information and registration. Starting in May, once a week and for 4 consecutive weeks, we will set up a table at a place close to where Latino family lives or work or shop, and just talk to people. If you have done it before, maybe you know how rewarding this is. If you haven't done it, please join us. Again, we will provide the guidance and the support for a very rewarding volunteer work. But also, we have something very important for this month. In April, please save the date. We are co-sponsoring, along with other caucuses, with the Arlington Democrats, with the AAPI caucus, that's the Asian American Pacific Island caucus, the Labor, and the Business caucus, a congressional chat on April 9th. So you all are invited, and please invite others to this in-person meeting on Saturday, April 9 from 9 to 11 a.m. It will be held at the Bus Boys and Poets in Arlington. Please keep in touch with us with our Facebook group for more details. This place is located at 4251 Campbell Avenue. Seating is limited, but this place has capacity for around 80 people. And we are expecting that because there is a lot of interest about what the candidates have to say, that this will be a very well attended meeting. Please get in touch with us, and we hope to see you there. Thank you, Kevin.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sandra. As you can see, Sandra is already very busy. She is ready to go. She's got work coming down the pike for the rest of us. And that's perfect because that's exactly what we want to do. We know that this is a group full of people who want to be involved and want to spend, the best of their time that they can doing good works for the community. And so that's what we hope to help facilitate, is trying to bring those opportunities together and try to bring people together so we can point you all in the right direction. So that is us as an organization. We just wanted to provide this opportunity to introduce ourselves to everybody, let you all understand who you would be working with if you are interested in joining our efforts. The link right here, everyone should be seeing it. I'm also going to put it in the chat. It is the short link to our new membership and volunteer form. Moving forward, if you have signed up on this form, you will be considered a member. And if you have not signed up on this form, you are an old member. So please get signed up, volunteer if you have the opportunity to do so. Last but not least, I am just going to open up the floor into, we have some wonderful people here on the call today. And I want to give you all the opportunity, if there's anything on the top of your minds that you either wanted to share that would be relevant to this caucus, or if there's anything that you think that we could be doing or any other direction that you want to point us in, that would be helpful to us, now is your time to share it with us. Is there anyone that wants to jump in? All right, fair enough.
Hold on, I have something.
Yeah.
I was trying to
No, please, Christina.
I am trying to find, here we go. Here is the link. APS, along with a number of surrounding jurisdictions, are doing a panel, not tomorrow, because tomorrow is Sunday, but Monday, on inclusive history. And it is a first, we are bringing all of these different jurisdictions together to talk about the importance of inclusive history and ensuring that we have history courses and resources that really highlight the diversity of histories that are frequently not talked about when you're only talking about the white male perspective. And so in response to a lot of what we're seeing down in Richmond from this new governor, we have joined forces to host this panel together, and it is going to be on Monday. I put the link in there. There's a quick registration. It starts at 7:30. Would love to see everyone there.
Wonderful. No, that is a really, really great flag. Thank you so much, Christina, for highlighting that. And I see Beatriz, you dropped something in the chat as well. Did you want to highlight that real quick?
Yes, actually, Arlington County, in partnership with El Centro de Asistencia Familiar, is co-hosting an event on April 23rd from 10:30 to 4 p.m. and it's on housing and health. There are a bunch of resources for our community to actually take advantage of. And we're concentrating on the Latino community specifically. We have 10 workshops. They will they'll be bilingual. So, that's a great opportunity. And I'm also looking for volunteers. We need bilingual volunteers since my focus is Latinos. It's for the whole community, but my focus is Latinos. And we have one of the workshops is almost full. We're working with Casa Mariflor to recruit some of the folks in the community that need help with Medicaid and Medicare. But the rest of the workshops, first-time home buyers, preventing foreclosure and so forth. It's wonderful resources. I really think it's a great opportunity for the community to take advantage of. And I popped in the website, but I'd like to share with you, Kevin, the volunteer registration form, and if you could share it with others, I'd appreciate that. I
was just about to ask if you have when is the event again?
That's going to be on the 23rd of April from 10:30 to 4 p.m. And volunteers fall into 3 categories. It's setup, breakdown, and escort. So these are the folks that are basically going to serve as translators. So we're going to have a scavenger hunt. So people actually visit the certain tables. So to ensure that they are getting the information that they need. Also, we're going to be providing COVID vaccinations and flu vaccinations. So that setup is going to be done. It was just put together. So that setup is going to be done, in a controlled environment. We also have Vision, that's a sponsor. Virginia Gateway Lions Club is sponsoring the Vision check. So we have a series of things. The campaign starts on April 11th. So you'll see it all over the media and so forth on starting on that date. But beforehand, I'd love to have you guys join us.
No, please. Let's touch base offline, but I can loop you in with Elizabeth as well. And if we do our first, since this is our first meeting of the year, we'll do probably an email summary and send that out to our list. And it'd be good to highlight some of these things in there. So if we could get some information from you on that, that'd be great.
I'll send it over. Thank you so much. And thank you, ladies. I'm inspired, and I love to get to know you all better. And thank you for doing this.
Thank you for being here today. Now, is there anyone else before we sign off today who just has a little something they want to share with the group? All right, going once, going twice. Well, in that case, then I am going to close this out. Thank you again to all of our amazing panelists for taking the time to be here on a Saturday morning. Just incredibly appreciate what you do and what you were able to share to the rest of us. And to all of our guests and attendees, Steve, thank you so much, to the chair of the Arlington Democrats for coming. Mike Heminger, I saw him in here earlier. I don't know if he's still on. Our deputy chair of the party for coming, and just really appreciate everyone taking the time. So we will be having our next public meeting at the end of April. Date is forthcoming, so please keep an eye out for that. Make sure that you sign up on the link. I'm sending that out again. And join our Facebook group as well. That is our main way outside of email. It's our main way of getting information out to people. So we really hope that you will engage with us there. All right, y'all. Thank you very much. Hope everyone has a great rest of their weekend. We'll see you again at the next meeting. Take care.